Hello, and welcome to episode 21 of KnitScents.
Oh, don't you dare look back, just keep your eyes on me. I said you're holding back. She said shut up and dance with me. This woman is my destiny. She said ooh, shut up and dance with me. We were victims of the night.
I hope everybody enjoyed a wonderful Mother's Day this past Sunday. Today is Tuesday the 16th, May 16th. My name is Jan. You can find me as Jan Allen RN on Ravelry and on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook, but I'm not on there very often. Well, we had deluge of rain, but I think we are finally coming into spring now. It is sunny out, which is why I get to record without having those silly lights making things worse. And it's been a busy 2 weeks, week and a half, 2 weeks. Last weekend, not this past weekend, the weekend before, was the Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival, which I did have a chance to go to with my daughter. And I will show you the haul from there. And at the end, I will put in, I hope I remember how to do it. I will put in some video clips and some pictures so that you can get a sense of what the experience was like. The festival is Saturday and Sunday. There are classes, I think, start Wednesday and run through the weekend. Friday night before the festival, it had poured. It had absolutely poured. And I think it did, well, I'm from New York, and I think it did up here too. I don't know anywhere else. But by Saturday, it was just muddy and wet and soggy and drizzly, and we had a fabulous time anyway. So I just really, really felt for some of the vendors. There is a main, for those of you who aren't familiar with the way Maryland Sheep and Wool is set up, there is a main exhibition hall, which is down this long cement walkway, and it's an indoor building, so that's all fine. But there are several areas, there are 3 areas, actually it's more than 3 areas, there's several areas where vendors are set up outside on the grass. And I really, really felt for those vendors. There was actually one area where by Sunday, there was actually this lake right outside in the center area where all of the vendors were. But I have to say, I think everybody just made the best of it, had fun with it. We all kind of knew that the weather was going to be a little uncooperative. So I think for the most part, people prepared. I know, we came home, I was wearing jeans and old sneakers and didn't care, tramped through the mud, got splattered with mud, and had a ball. I mean, it was loads and loads of fun. So if you ever do have the opportunity to go, that's one of the festivals I really, really highly recommend. It's a lot of fun. It's smaller than Rhinebeck, but I would say vendor-wise, it's pretty much on par. It's, like I said, it's not as large, but it's a wonderful, wonderful event. It's a very family-oriented event and just lots of fun. So that was a week and a half ago. And again, I have a lot of stuff to show you from that. But this week we will have, what will we have? We have knitting, some knitting. We have spinning. I have a finished object. And then I have stash enhancement, which don't judge. This is a judge-free stash enhancement episode because a lot of this did come from Maryland Sheep and Wool, which I had been looking forward to to making some purchases at. So let's jump in with a knitting because I did finish what I was focused on in my last mystery knit along, which I will show you later. I did get to start the Joji Locatelli mystery knit along, which the name is Starting Point. It's a wrap. We do know that it's a wrap. I'm sorry, I think my cat found catnip somewhere, which I don't have, but this cat's been going a little crazy all day and is making the rest of the animals just as nuts. So they're having their fun over there. But at any rate, I did get to cast on for the Joji Mystery Knit Along. So if you're knitting along and you don't want to see a spoiler, or spoiler alert, okay, so we will do the jazz hands when it's all tucked away. But if you're knitting on it and you know what it looks like, or you're curious what it looks like, here we go. I did show last episode the colors that I had chosen, and oh, after that last mess that I made trying to choose colors, if you remember, I don't even know if I showed it because it was so hideous. I tried to do the Stephen West Mystery Knit Along, and the ones that I saw were absolutely gorgeous. I just made some really horrendous color choices and decided to just 86 that whole thing. But this time, thank goodness, I went with a kit and only had to pick 2 to add to it and stayed on the safe side. So I'm pretty happy with it. So again, if this is a mystery and you don't want to be spoiled, spoiler alert here, what we're doing, the Clue 1 came out and we are actually knitting 2 of Clue 1s. And I'm almost at the end of the first one. And it is a triangle. Let's make sure we're on the right side. There we go. Okay. And basically what it is it's just this triangle, but the textures are different. And you change the colors. These are all 5 colors now are in this. So we started down here with a garter tab cast on. I did try using, I prefer to use a garter tab cast on that's almost like a provisional cast on. I do a crocheted on the needles. I crochet waist yarn directly onto my working needle, and then I knit the 3, which would count as the cast on stitches, and that makes it easier for me to pick up on the bottom, the last 3, and I think it just makes for a neater cast on. But at any rate, that's what it was garter tab cast on. And then you can see each section has a different texture. This one was just a little bit of very simple lace, and then we went back and we're repeating it up to, I think I'm almost literally at the end. It was 50 something rows, and I think we're only repeating up to 28, something like that. And then you put this down and you start it all over and make an identical second piece. So this is my first piece. I am really, really happy with the colorways. Again, like I said, I only picked this gold to go in with it and this off-white, which I figured you can't really go wrong with that. The other 3 came in a kit that was for something else, which was fine as long as someone else picked 3 coordinating colors. I was good with that. I didn't have to do the thinking. So that's what I've been working on after I finished my last mystery knit along. I'm really enjoying this. Like Joji said, a lot of it is TV knitting. It's not complicated knitting. The lace was very simple. There was a simple ribs pattern in there. One thing, I don't know if I had showed this in a previous podcast. I don't think I ever did. I had purchased this, gosh, it was a while ago. It was from my local yarn store right after it came out. They came back from TNNA, and this was new. So this must have been over a year ago, because it wasn't this last TNNA. But at any rate, this is called the Knitter's Keep. And what it is, I think I actually did show this. It's one of those slap bracelets. I'm going to have to dog wrangle. Sorry, they don't like the birds. But at any rate, I had purchased this a while ago, and actually I think I did show it when I got it. I hadn't really been using it, but I find for this, it's great because it's all written. So far there are no charts. I don't know if there will be. But you have to kind of keep track of the rows because it says repeat rows 17 to whatever, and you know, you could be on row 58 or row 52, but not on your pattern. And I find that this is really, I'm sorry, they are not happy with the wildlife outside. Anyway, I'm finding this piece is actually removable. Gosh, now I'm going to be dripping pieces all over. Everything is magnetic, and this piece here, it's a very, very strong magnet. So you can see I have some stitch markers stuck on it. They make a row counter that just sticks on it. It's very, very easy to use, and it also has that locking mechanism. So in your bag, it doesn't accidentally click and now you're really lost. And it does come, you can purchase separately. I have a crochet hook which can stick on there. And as you can see, everything goes flying when you take it off, but that's okay. We'll just stick it right back. So I've been kind of enjoying this. I was using it when I finished up my last project, and I've really found that this has been very helpful with this one. My last project when I finished, I was using a lot of stitch markers. And this you're able to purchase different size stitch markers, and they come in, you know, sometimes you just never have enough of the right size. But this one I was able to purchase it, so that was good. I'm knitting this out of, it's all on my project page. It's Lydia something. I don't think I still have the labels, but it is on my project page. It's, let's see. I have it here. It's Lydia what? I think it just says Lydia Yarn. I'll have it listed on my project page. The one of the skeins, the gold one that I picked, is from Toby Roxanne. It's her chandelier fingering, and the off-white one is just from Brown Sheep Company. It's Nature Spun in their natural colorway, I think it's called. So that's that. I'm knitting it on size 6 needles, which is what the pattern called for, and I like the fabric that it's making, and I think I have enough. My gauge, I'm going to do a swatch, to be honest with you, but I've never really run out. I think I only ran out of yarn on one project ever. I don't even know if I actually technically ran out. I think I had like that much left. So I'm not really too concerned with that, with the yardage. And the only other thing that's gotten some love knitting-wise this week is my Desert Vista Dyeworks May socks. And I am falling behind, so I really have to pick up the pace on this. This is for the month of May, the sock club. It's her Viso base, I believe. I think so. Well, I'm not going to take it out, but the colorway is Boot Scootin'. It's an older one. It was inspired by SSK from a number of years ago, and I think the last time when I recorded, I had just literally cast on, so it was like this wee little sock. But I have gotten through the heel, and I am working my way now down the foot of the first sock. And yeah, since it's the 16th, I really am falling behind here, so I got to pick up the pace. But you can see on this sock, instead of doing, on all the other ones, I did that flap and gusset heel from the Synthesocks. This one I did do a Fish Lips Kiss heel. And because, I mean, this is a striping yarn, but it's not the traditional, you know, 4 rows of one stripe, 4 rows of another stripe. It just sort of stripes randomly, but it has a beautiful striping effect. I think this heel worked out very well for this sock, so I'm kind of glad I actually went with that one. And the Fish Lips Kiss heel, I've done it many, many times. It fits me really, really well. Actually, it was kind of between the Afterthought heel, which is actually just really another toe. I think this one fits me best until I found that flap and gusset heel, which actually does fit me from the Synthesocks. So either way, I kind of enjoyed knitting it this time. So that's what I'm knitting on. That's how far I got. I've got to finish the foot and the toe and get on to the second sock. And these I'm knitting, I knit all my socks on a size 1. I believe it's a size 1. It's a 2.25 millimeter needle. I'm using the newer, they just came out with these recently. I'm not sure if it was the end of last year or at some point. The signature smaller size circular socks. I do have double points, and I tend to do my socks in very strange ways. I cast on with magic glue because I find that there's less risk of twist. I just cast it on, split the number, and start going in the round because all your stitches are there. It's very easy to do it that way. But I find that I'm faster on double point needles. So once I've gotten through the ribbing, when I'm going down the leg, I actually switch to double point needles, and I do the stockinette part on double points. And then when I get to the heel, this heel actually I think I did do with the single needle in Magic Loop. But if I'm doing a flapping gusset heel, I actually switch to two circulars for the heel, so that one circular can just sit with the heel, and the other one I'm working with just the one needle, and then I switch back. So I know it's crazy. It just seems to be, to me, the fastest, most efficient way to do it. Have I done it all on one or the other? Absolutely. Can you do it all on one or the other? Absolutely. It's just a quirk of mine. I find it's easiest to cast on with the Magic Loop. I find it faster for me to knit with double points, and I find the heel just goes better and smoother for me with two circulars. Go figure. It's a quirk of mine. So that's really it actively with the knitting. I was hardcore into spinning this week. I will insert a picture. When I went to Maryland Sheep and Wool, I had looked into and was doing a lot of research on the new shacked flat iron wheel, which is a Saxony style wheel. I had been looking at it. I had been looking at several other wheels. I mean, I have a lot. I have 4 wheels that, actually really 3 that I use. I do have the Matchless Ladybug and the Sidekick. And I do use my Ladybug in double drive. I prefer double drive. Obviously the Matchless is wonderful for that. The Sidekick does not have the option of double drive, but it is an excellent, excellent wheel, particularly if you're taking it somewhere. It is a great travel wheel, but it is also a very solid wheel. But I have an old Canadian production wheel, which it's not easy to lug it up and down stairs. I really don't want to leave it in my living room. And the wheel on it is actually, it's a smaller CPW. And I really wanted a faster wheel, which is why I was looking at the flat iron. So when we got there, I tried it out. I had not had the opportunity to, and as soon as I sat down at that wheel, I knew it was coming home with me. So I did purchase the shacked flat iron. Again, it is a Saxony style wheel. I will insert a picture of it put together. This wheel, most of the shacked wheels come mostly pre-assembled. I think you have to put the footman on. There's a little bit, very little assembly. I'm trying to remember with my Matchless. I think I put the footman on and the pedals, but that was it. For the most part, I mean, the drive wheel was attached. The flat iron comes completely unassembled, flat in a box, and you put the whole thing together. And I think it took me about 2.5 hours, maybe less. Didn't even seem like it was 2.5 hours. It comes with a manual that is very, very, very broken down, very easy to follow. And there is also a video that accompanies it. So if you have a little confusion, you can look at the video, see how it's done. And you have the option of installing the flyer on the right or on the left, depending on what your preference is for spinning. And I think it really goes according to your forward hand, which way is easier for, or which side you should put the flyer on. I ended up putting my flyer on the left, and after a few, it was a bit of a learning curve with it. I have to say it did take some adjusting, and I found with all of my wheels that there is a breaking in period where you have to keep oiling it. You have to just kind of get it tweaked up. And with any new wheel, especially one that you've put together from scratch, you're going to have to tighten bolts and stuff along the way and readjust. But it is spinning beautifully. I'm really, really happy with it. So let's get to see what we spun on it. At Maryland Sheep and Wool, I have never spun, there goes my bobbin. I had never spun really a long wool. And I went to, there's a booth with a vendor called Row Clans, and they're very well known for their Cormo. But since I purchased a Cormo fleece while I was there, I looked at some of the other top and some of the other fibers that they had, and they had a Leicester Longwool, which had a beautiful luster to it. And I'd never spun it before, so I figured that would be a really good thing to start with to get, long draw, to really get it done quickly and see, break in the wheel and see how it went. So I spun up the 6 ounces of Leicester Longwool on the flat iron. And this skein I did wash. And this I spun woolen. And I spun it on the medium whirl. They're calling it the fast whirl, but to me I think it's more the maybe it is the fast, and then I have the high speed. So I guess you could consider this the fast whirl. And I'll be honest, I wish I had gone up a pulley size, because I think this kind of got a little bit over twisted. You can't really see it as much in this skein as in the other one, which I will show you. I didn't wash the other one. I wanted to compare the two. But I did spin this woolen, and I'm going to say, again, it's not as consistent or as even as I would like, partly because I was, tweaking the wheel and focused a lot on that. But I would say this did come out to maybe a heavy fingering to a sport weight, it looks like. What I loved about this fiber is that it had such a, and I really don't know if it's going to show up, but it had such a really, really nice sheen to it. And again, they say that the long wools, and you can see from this, obviously spinning it woolen doesn't help it to soften at all, but I would not have a problem making a cowl out of this. I don't think I would make a cowl that I would wear like this up against my neck, but I would absolutely make a longer cowl out of this. This is the washed and the, I really, really beat up this skein. I was whacking it on the table. I really gave this a good whacking, being woolen spun. And again, it's not, and this was my doing because I think it's got too much twist in it. It's not quite as fluffy as I would have liked as a typical woolen yarn would be, but it's definitely, pretty balanced and totally usable. So I will find some use for this. This is the other skein, which I did not wash. And you can see, and again, the singles were all done on 2 bobbins, I think. Yeah. And it's a traditional 2-ply. Now you can see, I think on this one, it's not, I doubt it's going to show up on camera as it does in person, because it's more of a feel, but you can feel that after the washing and really going at it, thwacking this and kind of beating it up, that it is not as coarse, it is a little fluffier and a little bit softer. So this yarn will hopefully take on the same characteristics, but all told, from 6 ounces, I got 222 yards on this one, and I think this was exactly 150 yards. So I don't know, 370, something like that, which for me, that's kind of not all that much yardage. But again, like I said, there was some waste. I was having some, learning curve issues. So that's the first thing that I spun on my flat iron. What I am spinning right now is Into the World. This is more typical of the way I spin. I've got it, I think, tweaked a little bit. This is Into the World. I think it's the 221B colorway. This will be chain plied when I'm finished. I just started this yesterday or the day before. I am doing this on a high-speed bobbin with the high-speed whirl. to get enough twist in it, because I find that when you Navajo ply, it does A, take out a lot of twist, and B, you want to try to avoid breaking those singles as much as possible. So this is being done again in double drive on the high-speed whirl. I didn't look up the ratio, but I'm using the high-speed whirl on the larger ratio on that pulley, and I will likely go up to the fast whirl to ply this, to put in less twist when I ply it. So that's what's currently on the wheel. I think that's it for objects or things in progress. I have finished objects, both spinning finished objects and knitting finished objects. So let's get on to that. I did show last week my knitting in color. I did find the information for it. It is ultralight at night. It was superwash fine merino, and I think I showed it last week, and I had not yet washed it, and I did. Oops, wash it. I have no idea what the yardage is. I did not count it yet, but that's it. Washed and bathed and tied up. So this one I know you've seen. Okay, so that's knitting in color in the ultralight at night. It was 4 ounces, and I have no idea what I spent there. And that was also chain plied. And then I don't remember if I showed this in progress. I think I did, but I'm not 100% sure and didn't have the information for it. But this is Into the World. This is the Flounce colorway. It is from the December 2014 Luxe Club. This is 75-25 Blue Face Leicester and Tussa Silk, and this was also finished and bathed and is all done. And I really am in love with this colorway. I really, really love the colorway. There's purples, there's blues, there's cream colored, a little lavender in there. I was really, really happy with the way that this one came out. Again, I have to calculate my yardage. I'm really bad. I use a 1.5 yard nitty nutty and then count strands and multiply. But I did find somewhere a yardage meter, so I don't know. I think when I ball it up, I'll just run it through that yardage meter and then figure out what to do with it. But at any rate, this is finished. I did a lot of washing, blocking, and all of that good stuff to get all this stuff out of the way to make room for more stuff. So that is my spinning finished objects, my Leicester Longwell. I think we have company. Somebody wanted to get into the picture there. And my Into the World and my knitting and color. It's all done. My knitting finished object. I finished my Creatrix, my Laura Nelkin Mystery Knit Along. I did block it, but I did not weave in my ends, which, oh God, I'm so bad with that. And the funny thing is, after Clue 1, I actually did have time and wove in the ends from Clue 1, and then it went downhill after that. But at any rate, it is done. It is done, and it is blocked, and I am absolutely in love with this shawl. So much to the point that I think I need to make another one. This has a combination of garter stitch, double-sided lace, some, a yarn over net section, and some Shetland lace in it. And there were 2 choices of bind-offs for this, and one was a regular beaded bind-off, and most people who did that one blocked in points, which gave the shawl more of a sleek, modern look. I saw picots, and well, that was it, because I am just an absolute sucker for picots. So what I did here was a picot bind off, and I blocked mine where the picots were in groups. So you can see I did it in like a group here, right around where this open work is. And I'm so happy with how this came out. I don't know if this is going to my standing up is going to be of any value here, but I'm not very tall. In case you didn't know, I'm not very tall, so I'm standing like on tiptoes. But you can see the size of it from, you know, again, ignore the ends. God knows when they'll get woven in. But I'm just absolutely thrilled with how this came out. And it's not just that, it was just an enjoyable knit. It was very challenging. I would not recommend this for your first beaded project, although I will say that it's doable. There's a lot of advice and help on the board. This was not an exclusive pattern to the M Club. The mystery knit-alongs are open to anyone who wants to do them. If you purchase the pattern, it's fingering yarn. Oh gosh, I will have to list below what yarn came in the kit, because I'm suddenly drawing a blank. Yarn Carnival. I think it was Yarn Carnival was the yarn, but any fingering weight yarn will work. There are both size 6 and size 8 beads. There are a lot of beads on this. So if you like the shawl, you can download the pattern. Again, it is called Creatrix. It's by Laura Nelkin. And again, like I said, it is a very challenging knit because it is double-sided beaded lace. But nothing that was too, if you have any experience knitting with beads or doing double-sided lace, it's totally doable. It was not hard, it was just something you really did have to focus on. And that is all the works in progress, all the finished objects. That's, that's everything I have. So we're down to stash enhancement. And again, part of that was my wheel. I did purchase a 4.5 pound Cormo fleece, which I don't have with me, but I went into the fleece barn and just saw this and had absolutely no intentions of getting any more Cormo. Well, we all know what happens with that. So yes, I did get a fleece. And to that end, I had gotten a fleece 2 years ago or 3 years ago that was also Cormo. And I had carded that fleece. And while I'm not unhappy with how it came out, I think that this particular fleece that I got, the locks are so beautiful. The fleece is really just so incredible that it would be much better to comb it. And I do have a set of hand combs, but I was speaking actually with the owner of Roclans. Again, like I said, they are known for their Cormo. And, excuse me, I live in a very wooded area. And I'm very allergic to tree pollen. So needless to say, this is not my time of year. Sorry. Another couple of weeks and I'll be absolutely fine. Anyway, she sent me over, because I asked her what really would be the best way for me to process this fleece short of sending it out to a mill. And she sent me over to Indigo Hound and said, I do mine with their 5-pitch English combs. And it comes out beautiful. And she showed me, and she actually, one of the, and I will show in the pictures later, one of the Blue Ribbon winners used her fleece, used her wool, processed it herself, and knit it into a shawl, which she designed herself. It was an Art Deco style. I mean, I just stood there with my mouth hanging open for about 5 minutes looking like a moron, like, oh my God, this thing had a gajillion beads on it. It was absolutely stunning. And the thought that she had processed the wool herself, I'm like, that, oh, it was mind-boggling, but it was absolutely stunning. And she said that that's how she had processed the wool. Not that I am planning on doing all of that, designing a shawl, which isn't going to happen, and putting a gajillion beads on something. No, 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 no. I was just looking for a good way to process that Cormo. So to that end, I purchased from Indigo Hound, give me a half a second here, a set, whoa, God, I just don't want to hurt myself here because these things are lethal, of English pitch combs. And Indigo Hound, I had heard of them before. They're very well made. It came with pretty much everything you need to get started. They are 5-pitch combs. It is set, you do this on the table. The combs that I have are more freehand. You can lock them down onto the table. This is something I don't think you'd want to be swinging around. Okay, so this is definitely meant to be used on a table. You secure it in the base like this. Oops, I thought I took the dowel out. There's a dowel that goes in and locks it in place like that. It did not come with C-clip clamps to clamp it to the table. That's the only thing missing. It is got felt lines on the bottom, which is nice so that it does not ruin your tabletop. And it came with to remove fibers, and it also came with, which I thought was really nice. So I was starting to wonder. I mean, I have several dizzes. I don't know, several dizzes. But this looked like a really nice sized one, nicely curved. So I thought that was great. And it also came with the manual, which tells you how to set it up. And oh, look, I didn't even realize the back of this. Combing oil, which that's been my downfall with combing fiber, is the static. Drives me crazy. And I've tried spraying it with, just plain water. It doesn't help. I've tried mixing a little baby oil in with the water. It really doesn't help. Maybe now that it's spring, summer, it's going to get more humid here. It won't be as much of an issue. But I might actually try this. This is a recipe for combing oil. It's glycerin, glycol, water, and mineral oil. Hold on. So we might give that a try. But at any rate, so that was another purchase, which kind of went along with the two that I already made. The Leicester long wool I already spun up and showed you. The breed this year, every year there is a featured breed, and this year the featured breed was Romney. So there is a tent that's set up that's dedicated to the breed and information on it. So at that tent, I did get, this is 8 ounces of roving, of Romney roving, which, again, it's not really the softest type wool. It's not, I don't think it's considered a fine wool. Is it a medium wool? But, well, let's just show it this way. When I saw some things, some samples knitted up and whatnot, it really did spin up beautifully. It makes a lovely, I think this will likely be either hats or mitts, something along those lines. And I'm really into the natural colors, natural wool colors. So I actually might combine this in color work with, say, some of the Cormo or even the brown, chocolate brown that I showed last week, Cordell, that I had spun up, and mixed shades of natural sheet colors, which I love. I absolutely really enjoy seeing the different natural shades of sheet. The other thing I got was, and I can't remember, oh my gosh, I gotta learn to write this stuff down. There was one booth that was down in the North Corral. I don't know. It was everything Cordell. And I wasn't going to get anything until I saw this top. I got a pound of it. And they did have the natural colors, but some of it was just combed with the dyed top, with the dyed fibers. All the same, it's all Cordell. It's just that she dyed some of it and then had it combed. I would assume it in mill. This is not hand combed, but she had it processed with the dyed and the natural together, and you just spin it together as one. And I just fell in love with this burgundy color. I hope it's showing up. It's just like a plummy burgundy color. I think it's actually showing up with a little more pink than it actually is. It's really a deep burgundy color. And I fell in love with that, and I said, okay, well, we have to have some of that. So I got that, and I think the only other thing that I purchased, which was sort of just caught my eye as I was walking past, God, thank goodness it wasn't the comb that went over, because that would have really been painful. It's a kit from Glenfiddich Wool, which I've always wanted to try. I've heard very good things about their wool. I don't even know what the wool content is. That's interesting. This is Glenfiddich Custom Spun. So it doesn't even say, and it just says assorted specialty. It has checked on the card the content, whether it's hand spun, wool, linen, whatever, and this just says custom spun. So I'm not exactly sure the content of the wool. I'm trying to get in there and see. I have no idea. Wool, custom spun. Does not say the content of the wool. At any rate, it is to knit. It is a kit to knit this wimple is what it's called. And basically what that is a cowl type garment that you can pull up and use as a hood. And I saw it there, and I just, and they had, the sample one was in this off-white color, and I couldn't find it. And I was going to get, there was like a brownish sort of taupey color, and I'm like, well, all right, because what I absolutely really went crazy for was the beads in the kit of this one were like a pearl. And when I saw the combo, I was like, oh my God, that is so gorgeous. And when I was online, I had asked, did you by any chance have? And she's like, oh yeah, it's right there. So they found me one in this off-white color. So I was really, really pleased with that. So that's the other purchase that I made. And the other thing that came, I don't think I had showed it, for the past, this is my last 3 months, my last of my 3 months is on its way to me. Hedgehog Fibers has clubs, and they just had sign-ups this past weekend, and I just forgot about it, and by the time I got there, I was a little too late for the Skinny Singles Club, but that's okay, because I don't think I'm going to lack for yarn for the next 3 months, so hopefully for the next 3 months after that. But this was the last shipment. Again, like I said, the third of my 3. It's a 3-month club that you sign up for. And it's, if you're not familiar with Hedgehog Fibers, they are located in Cork, Ireland, in Cork County in Ireland. They're hand-dyed yarns, and they're very well known for their speckled yarns. I just can't say enough about their colorways. I love them. Now, some of the pair that you get 2 skeins in each shipment, and you get 3 shipments per club. So if you sign up and you want to re-sign 3 months, when the sign-ups reopen, you re-sign up. Some of the ones have been coordinating, some of them are totally different. I probably, especially after my last debacle of color choice, would not necessarily put these 2 together, but I love them each separately. This I would probably put, either use just by itself, because the yardage on these, I think it's 366 meters, so I'm going to say it's about 400 yards. If I wanted to make something larger, I probably would pick out that darker color, a black, and let this really pop. With this one, I don't know. I might pick out like the gold that's in there and mix this with a gold color, or you know, something in the warm orange family, and let this really pop out. But again, they just had signups yesterday, Sunday, for the next round of clubs. If you are interested, when I checked last, the Cashmere Club was still available. And that club, you get 2 identical skeins. They don't have 2 different ones. You get 2 identical skeins of a 50-50, I think, merino cashmere blend. What was I going to say? You get, I think, a total of 400 yards of the 50-50 cashmere merino. So you can make something really, really nice out of it. But again, they're 2 the same so that you get a good amount of yardage. And from the spoilers on the forums that I've seen, they really are stunning colorways. Absolutely magnificent yarn. I didn't join again, like I said, because I'm expecting another one, and I had to cut back on the clubs. I had to cut back on the yarn. I mean, between now with spinning back again, and it is adding to the yarn, and I'm trying to use Stash. I'm thrilled that my Hohi knit along used up Stash. It all came from Stash. So I am trying to limit skeins that are coming in. I was very proud of myself that at Maryland Sheep and Wool, all I came back with was that kit, which had a purpose. It's in a kit, came with a pattern, not a single skein of yarn, because I just have ridiculous amounts of single skeins. So we're finished with that. So I'm looking around, and I think I got to the bottom of everything. Wow, that was quick. That was really quick. Again, as far as Scentsy goes, I am at the end of my run with that, for now at least anyway. If you are still interested in any of the products, I know, again, like I said, I use it. I love it. I don't know if you can see. I'm going to just, if anyone gets motion sickness. Over there, I have my diffuser going, and next to it, I have my morning toast, I think is what it's called, or English breakfast, one or the other, warmers. So they are still very much a part of fragrance in my house. But time was an issue, and there were other fragrances and things to explore. So I will probably likely go into fragrances, what's burning in my house, what I am scenting my home with, my own scents that I love, because again, to me, combining fragrance and crafting is just, it just makes your environment so happy to be in. So that's where that's heading. And I think that is it for this episode. So I will follow up with some sights and sounds from Maryland Sheep and Wool, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. And as always, remember to knit with sense.